loved one in the intensive care unit? If you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's this wall, and it's not just made of glass and sterile doors, it's a wall of information. On one side, you have this incredible medical team fighting for someone you love, minute by minute. And on the other side, there's you, just waiting, feeling anxious, trying to make sense of all the medical jargon. Well, today we're going to talk about what it takes to tear down that wall. Let's start by taking a peek at what's happening on the other side.
First things first, we've got to understand the world inside the ICU. A modern ICU, especially in a place like South Africa, is an environment of intense contrasts. It's where you'll find absolutely world-class medical skill, but it smacks right up against some really severe resource shortages. It's a high-pressure, data-heavy battlefield where every single second counts.
And this number, wow. This really shows you the scale of the challenge. In some parts of South Africa, you're looking at a ratio of just one ICU bed for every 150,000 people. Let that sink in for a moment. The pressure on the staff to make the right call, to manage these precious few resources, is just immense before they've even seen a single patient. Now, this list on the screen might just look like a bunch of complicated words, right? But believe me, this is just a tiny, tiny fraction of the data points that get tracked for every single patient. Nurses are often documenting dozens of these parameters every single hour. It is a constant fire hose of information that clinicians have to somehow process just to keep someone alive. And who's processing all this data? Well, this chart tells a pretty stark story. Ideally, you want at least half of the nursing staff in an ICU to have specialized critical care training. The reality in South Africa, it's only about a quarter. So what that means is that even the most dedicated, incredible teams are stretched dangerously thin. Okay, so now let's flip the coin. Let's move to the other side of that wall. Because while the clinical team is wrestling with all that data and those resource shortages, the family is sitting in the waiting room. They're totally cut off from that river of information, just living in this bubble of agonizing uncertainty, waiting, hoping for a brief and often really rushed phone call. And this, right here, this is the heart of the whole problem. How does an overworked doctor or an exhausted nurse take that absolute flood of clinical information we just saw and turn it into something a frightened, tired family member can actually hold on to? How do you build that bridge over the communication gap? This slide just nails the breakdown perfectly. A doctor gives an update that to them sounds really precise and pretty optimistic. The PaO2 is improving, PEEP is stable. But for a family member with zero medical background, it sounds like another language. It's just noise. It doesn't answer the one question that's screaming in their head. Is my dad going to be okay? And this isn't just about simple confusion. This gap, it creates this profound sense of anxiety and helplessness. You know, families feel so disconnected, so powerless. They are desperate for any crumb of information, any kind of connection to their loved one. But instead, they're just left in the dark, trying to read a doctor's facial expression. So you've got an overwhelmed clinical team on one side and an anxious, completely disconnected family on the other. But what if technology could act as a translator, a kind of digital lifeline to bridge that exact gap, giving families a window into their loved one's status whenever they need it? Well, this is precisely what a new type of system is designed to do. At its core, it's a platform built for one single purpose: to securely connect the ICU team with the patient's family. And the secret sauce is right there at the end: AI-powered translation. So it's not just about sharing data, it's about making that data actually make sense. And the process itself is just beautiful in its simplicity. A nurse enters the hourly vitals into a tablet, which they're doing anyway. The doctor on the rounds records a quick, maybe 90-second voice note with their thoughts. Then the AI gets to work, crunching the numbers and listening to the doctor's assessment. And just a few minutes later, boom, the family gets a clear, simple summary right on their phone. No more waiting by the phone for hours, just wondering. This is the magic trick of the whole system. Its entire reason for being is to perform that great translation. It takes all the clinical, complex, kind of scary stuff and reframes it in a way that's human-centric. It's designed not just to inform, but to reassure and, most importantly, to reconnect. So what does this translation actually look like? Let's do a little before and after. We're going to go from the raw data that only clinicians can understand to the warm, clear dialogue that a family can finally receive. Okay, so here's the before. This is a tiny little snapshot of an ICU chart. And to a doctor, this table tells a story. They see the heart rate coming down, the blood pressure getting better, the oxygen levels slowly ticking up. But for a family, this is that information wall we were talking about, just visualized. It's completely meaningless. And now, here's the after, that exact same data, but it's been processed by that AI translator and delivered as a simple message. Good news, your loved one's oxygen levels are improving and their heart is responding well to the new medication. All the clinical jargon is gone, but the meaning, the hope, the reassurance, it's all there. It's an incredible shift from cold data to warm human communication. The impact here is huge. As you can see, the biggest benefit is a massive drop in family anxiety. But it's also a huge win for the hospital staff. By making communications so much easier, it frees up precious time for those overworked nurses and doctors, letting them focus more on taking care of the patient. And a system is all about empowering families, giving them the access they so desperately want anytime they want it. They can check in for updates on their own schedule, no more waiting for a specific visiting hour. If they see a word they don't know, they can just tap on it to get a simple explanation. They can even listen to the doctor's original voice note. It puts a sense of control and connection back into their hands, 24/7. So, when you step back, what does this all really mean? We usually think of technology in medicine as being cold, impersonal. But maybe we've been looking at it the wrong way. What if the future of compassionate care isn't just about a reassuring hand on a shoulder? What if it's also about using these incredible tools to make medicine more understandable, more accessible, and at the end of the day, a whole lot more human?